All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It's Wednesday, September 3rd, right here on your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson. We are midway through the week already. And going into a short work week, it always feels nice that you get that much closer to the weekend so you can watch more college football. First week is in the books, but Jake, still some questions regarding the Texas defense. I want to hear this discussion because based on you and my opinion, defense looked about as good as you could have hoped for. And I don't know if there's too much to improve on. There was a couple individual performances I would have liked to seen play better, but that doesn't mean that I know that that doesn't mean that I don't think or I know for a fact that they're not going to play up to their standards throughout the rest of the regular season. We'll get into that discussion here shortly. Jake, before we dive into the defensive talk, I do need to shout out something that we didn't mention on yesterday's episode that we should have. Ohio State fans in the comment section following our loss, much cooler than Georgia fans. I gotta go out there and say it. Yeah, I was pretty shocked because all I've heard, now I've not had a lot of interactions with a ton of Ohio State fans leading up to the game. I would leave a comment here and there on some hype videos, or I would say something, and then I would get a rebuttal back. And it wasn't even against Ohio State. It was just, something about Texas. And it would just be like, Texas is going to get bitch slapped by Ohio State. It was this, that, and the other. But after the loss, in our comment section and our reaction video, pretty cool fans saying, hey, look, I'm not worried about Arch. I think he's going to be just fine. Texas is going to be, in the playoffs. Like, nothing to hang your head about. I mean, I think both teams are just really good football teams that had us. I mean, that was pretty much the consensus from everybody in the comment section.
Yeah, no, it was I was ready for Georgia 2.0. And it just wasn't that. And I think Ohio State fans are pretty cool after the playoff loss, even. Talking about it being a good game and things like that. I've heard terrible things about Ohio State fans if you go to the stadium, horror stories. But hey, at least in the YouTube comments, which would be surprising. At least I guess at least they do it in person.
Sure,
they're not just keyboard warriors like Georgia fans. It was surprising to me because I was ready for the comment section.
I was ready to fight. I was ready to fight, and there's really been no fighting, to be honest.
There was only a couple comments about like, this Texas team sucks, they're not doing anything, and I'm pretty sure those were Aggies. And like clicked on their profile and it screamed Aggie. I feel
I'm assuming it was them in overalls or something.
What was that?
I said I'm sure it was a picture of them in overalls or something that was screamed Aggies.
Oh, just you can see people's comments and things. And a couple of them had other comments on our channel, and they were I don't think an Ohio State fan is good. We're going on a Longhorn podcast more other than when they play Texas. So I feel, I guess, a little bit of a mutual respect for Ohio State, at least from the online perspective.
Yeah. We did not get the Dave Portnoy treatment by any means.
No, did not get that. But to be fair, if they went back and watched the prediction episode before they did it, which I doubt they did because no one does that, but they would see that we were showing Ohio State respect going into it. But it was nice to get some respect back versus the hate and some very mean comments from Georgia.
All right, Jake. Defensively, though, we talked a lot about the offense in yesterday's episode. I think this episode we're going to talk primarily defense. Two players that I want to definitely mention as we go on is Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill. But as we talked about in our reaction video, you and we were very impressed overall with the defense. I thought Leona Lafau was player of the game. Hero Kanu played the most amount of snaps on the defensive line in terms of defensive tackle position of anybody else. He played more snaps than Brevard, played more snaps than Alex January, and there was a reason for that. Following and watching the tape, Hero Kanu played a tremendous game. Brevard played a tremendous game. I thought Alex January played very well himself. I thought there was about 3 or 4 guys on that defensive line that really held their own, especially
Murad Watson looked great.
we went back. Texas didn't allow a single run, not one run play went over 10 yards for Ohio State. I don't think that happened not one time for them last year. And so that's a hell of a performance coming from the defense. I thought Jelani McDonald and Michael Taff ran the secondary very well in terms of the communication. I think there was one lapse where Julian Sand missed Jeremiah Smith on that first opening drive on what probably would have been a touchdown. But man, other than that, it was a pretty solid performance, and there have been some speculating, some Texas Longhorn fairweather fans that have probably been cheering for Quinn Ewers all of a sudden after cheering for Arch Manning last season, that have been, snobby about Colin Simmons and the pass rush and about Anthony Hill. Did those two players play a tremendous game? I didn't necessarily think so. Could they have played better? Absolutely. Have we seen them play better? Absolutely. But there's more to the story than just that.
No, I mean, Ant Hill was just okay in this game. He wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think the biggest thing you could say about the defense was you would have liked some more tackles for loss. They only had one on the game. Guess what? Ohio State had one. There weren't many negative plays in this game for either team, and that came from the game plans from both sides being fairly conservative because they are breaking in new quarterbacks. For Texas, you're playing on the road. I'm a little surprised Ohio State was so conservative with their game plan, considering they were at home and they have Jeremiah Smith. They have more returning production on offense than Texas does, just from Jeremiah Smith alone. But, I think Ohio State's conservative game plan was because of a fear of Texas's pass rush. I would argue Texas's pass rush still affected the game because it affected the game plan from Ohio State. Ohio State only threw 20 passes, and most of those were very quick, get the ball out within a second. Your pass rush isn't getting there. There were some screens as well. Refs weren't throwing flags as well. And there were some holdings. And so Texas didn't really, and because Ohio State was running the ball a lot, just getting a couple yards a pop, it was a lot of third and mediums, and you're not just going to all out blitz. There weren't a lot of just opportunities to send some crazy blitzes. I'm not worried about the pass rush at all. I'm not worried about Colin Simmons at all. I think it's crazy if you are. Just go back and watch how Ohio State ran offense. There weren't really many opportunities for pass rush. Can you pick out a couple plays where they probably could have got a better pass rush where they only sent 4? Sure. Is it something I'm worried about in the long term? No. Did the Ohio State tackles just No, no one from Ohio State's offense dominated Texas. They had just barely over 200 yards. They averaged, I think their average yards per play was less than 4 yards. That's crazy in 2025. I mean, if you look across the stat line, Texas won everything other than time of possession, fourth down conversions. They were much better on third downs than Ohio State, but penalties and then the one turnover. Because guess what? Ohio State was the more opportunistic team, and that's why they won this game.
Yeah.
Texas committed a couple silly defensive penalties. They scored a touchdown. A turnover from Arch Manning on an interception. They scored a touchdown.
Yeah, and that's something that you can't do against really good teams. And they committed less. They had less penalties, less turnovers. In fact, they had 0 turnovers, but they had less mistakes, self-inflicted wounds against themselves that Texas couldn't capitalize on. So that was really the difference in the game. I also, obviously, I've also heard, whether it be Texas fans, Ohio State fans, just talking national media head fans, talking about how Ohio State could have won this game if they didn't miss Jeremiah Smith on that first play, if they couldn't have done that, all the if, ands, and buts and all that. Well, Texas also got down inside the 10-yard, got inside the 5-yard line twice and didn't come away with any points. They could have very easily been up 21-14 at the end of this game and won this game. if Ohio State gets the Jeremiah Smith touchdown at the beginning of the game on the first drive, but Texas also converts touchdowns on inside the 5-yard line when they drive down the entire length of the field against Ohio State, this game is tied 21-21 going into overtime. But in no world did I ever see either one of these two teams saying that they should have blown out the other team.
No, and especially if you're saying it for Ohio State, they averaged less than 4 yards a play.
Texas had better sustaining drives throughout the entire game.
Their first touchdown drive was completely due to penalties on They were correct calls, but I'm not blaming the refs just to be clear, because I know the Georgia game I did and I still do. But
did you throw a water bottle on the field, Jake?
I threw a water bottle at my TV. But I do not blame the refs for this game. It was penalties by Texas killed it. It took away a safety too. Let's not forget that. That's 2 more points that could have been added on.
And possession.
Yeah, but missed throws in the red zone really hurt them. They on the throw to Livingston on the 4th down and 3, they had Wingo for a touchdown. They had a couple crossing routes that would have put them either in the red zone or inside the 5-yard line again. This game really did to me come down to the quarterback play not being good enough from Texas. It just did. When you have open guys and you miss them, when you make the wrong reads, and when you're making those mistakes in or close to the red area, that's not good enough to win. You have to be better than that to beat a very opportunistic Ohio State team in this game.
Yeah. Hey, let's go ahead and talk about underdog, Jake. Football season is back. And the best way that you can play this season and make picks and win money all at the same time is by using Underdog. Jake and I have a few entries that we want to discuss with you that you can ride with us if you so please. But if you want to, Jake, go ahead and who are some players that you like? I know right now they don't have the picks for the Texas San Jose State game up yet. We are going to make those picks later on this week, so stay tuned. Come back to hear those. You can also ride with us on those if you'd like as well. But since tomorrow is the kickoff to NFL season, we also have a Cowboys channel as well. You can listen to that, subscribe while you're at it. We've got Dallas and Philly Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, and I think Philly's going to win this game by a lot, and I expect Dallas's rush defense to struggle. So I went with higher, pretty straightforward on Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, essentially rushing touchdowns for both of them.
I would assume the Jalen Hurts is a tush push from the 1-yard line.
Yeah, absolutely a tush push on the 1-yard line. And then I couldn't just go in all Philly picks, so I went with CeeDee Lamb going higher on half a receiving touchdown or a rushing touchdown. He does get some carries sometimes, but I had to throw in a Cowboys one in there, and I think CeeDee Lamb is a pretty safe pick.
Yeah, no, I like that. And if you have not signed up, go ahead, sign up for Underdog and either use your bonus from Jimmers or from myself, Tan719. I also did Cowboys Eagles. I picked Dak Prescott. I think he'll go under 245. I just think the offense, first-year head coach under Schottenheimer. You got some new wide receivers, some new weapons there, and a very good secondary in the Philadelphia Eagles as well. I think Dallas is going to struggle to move the ball in general. But then I like the wide receivers for the Philadelphia Eagles to have higher receptions than 5.5. I think A.J. Brown has 6 or 7. I think Devontae Smith also within that range of 6, 7, 8. So I would go higher on the Philadelphia Eagles as well. And so if you sign up, either use Tan719, use Jimmers, you'll get a discount on your picks. But also, if you sign up today and you use promo code HORNS, you have a chance to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. So go ahead and do that today. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Are you going to be next? Underdog, make picks and win money. You must be 18 years or older to play, 19 years or older in Alabama and Nebraska and in Colorado. 21 or older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms and conditions do apply. So see assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms, DFS, for details. Offers are not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. If you are concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER and bet responsibly or play responsibly. Visit www.ncpgambling.org in New York. Call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-New York, or text HOPE NY to 46736. Again, that is Underdog. Use promo code HORNS to get $50 on your first entry. Okay, Jake, that's going to do it for that. One thing I wanted to ask you real quickly. Is there, when we're in week 8, week 9, week 10, and we're winding down towards the end of the season, SEC championship is in full talk, and we're kind of trying to predict the college football playoffs, do you think Texas is going to look back at this Ohio State game and think, what if? Do you think they're going to regret playing the way we did? Or do you think fans are just going to be like, we were so close? We had that game. Do you think they're going to kick themselves a little bit?
If they have 2 more losses, yes. Because that could end up being the most winnable of their losses. I think if we're sitting there and Texas is looking like they're going to be in the playoff, we sit there and go, that game was needed and made Texas better. You know, it really does. I hate to say that you need the results to answer that question, but I think there's 2 paths, right? Texas drops a game to Florida, drops a game to Georgia, probably out of the playoff with 3 losses, and you go, wow, wish we had that Ohio State game back, because I think if Texas played them now, probably win that game. Or you sit there and go, Texas's only loss is still to Ohio State, or they only lost to Georgia after this and won every other game going into an A&M game or something like that. And you go, that loss was needed for them to kind of get a kick in the rear at the start of the year right off the bat and realize you aren't the number 1 team in the nation yet. You were the number 1 team because of a lot of hype and a defense that is supposed to be really good, but the offense was essentially just a hype machine because of Arch Manning. And they kind of had to get kicked in the rear in that first game to realize, oh, we got a lot to work on to be even last year's offense. You know, we've talked about how we thought the offense would be better than last year's in many ways. That was all on paper, and it didn't come to fruition, but it was week 1. They got time to fix it. And I think we'll have a more full opinion of that even after the Florida game. You know, just getting a gauge of, can they go into Florida? If they win that game in Florida, I'm going to be feeling very, very confident about this team.
Yeah, and I feel pretty good about this team right now as we sit 0-1. I don't feel bad about this team. In fact, I don't really feel any different about this team, aside from if in the next 2 to 3 weeks we're still not seeing the quarterback play being where it needs to be, or even the passing offense, and say it's the wide receiver, say it's the pass rush, say it's something that it was a little bit of a concern or a glaring concern in the Ohio State game. Not to say that I feel like Texas is going to lose any of these next 3 games because of those issues, but if we just see something that's not being fixed and things aren't gradually being worked on in terms of the progression of these problems, I might feel a little bit different. But as of right now, I feel no different than I about this team and the success that this team could possibly have than before the Ohio State game.
No different, other than I would say I now have concern about quarterback until proven otherwise.
I did not have concern about quarterback before that game. I do now have a slight concern. I have a concern of, if we don't start seeing the progress in the next 3 weeks of elite play, even despite having, really bad opponents coming up, very easily winnable games. I'm talking win by 50 type games coming up. If we don't see the type of just progression, cool, calm, collected, making the right reads, those types of things,
the right velocity,
that
The two biggest things to me from March from that game, you got to see the reads get better. One, because it doesn't matter how well you throw the ball if you make the wrong read. He's also just got to get the velocity, and this wasn't a problem last year in his snaps, but bulleting a ball that's on a mesh concept is just not needed when he's wide open. You just need to make sure it's on target. So I'd like to see better velocity control
I agree.
from him, and knowing what velocities to use. Those are going to be the two things, because those kind of rope in with mechanics.
Yeah.
And so those will be the two things. You can still get an idea of if he's getting calmer with those things, even against lesser competition. And I think he'll probably face more pressure in these other games, because guess what? These teams coming up don't have. They don't have the secondaries to do the game plan Ohio State did.
I was going to say, they don't have Caleb Downs. That's for sure.
They don't have the secondaries in general to do what Ohio State did game plan wise. So what are they going to do? They're going to go, Texas has 4 new offensive linemen. Let's blitz and test them as much as possible.
It's going to be their only option defensively, is to blitz and get to the quarterback and disrupt a little something there in terms of what to disturb and disrupt Arch Manning in the offense. So, all right, Jake, anything else you want to speak on before we shut this thing down for the day?
I'm just excited. I've never been so excited to have a few cupcake games than I am this year. To see them get better week by week. Also to see some of the guys that I think they wanted to play against Ohio State, but the game was so weird that they didn't get a chance to really give a Christian Clark carries. They didn't get a chance to give a Jarrett Gibson carries. Dalen
McCutcheon got a catch.
Yeah, McCutcheon was the only wide receiver who played outside of Wingo, Livingston, and Moore.
Yeah.
No one else got any snaps. We're going to see Khalil Lockett get some. Those guys we're going to see a lot of guys get, Justice Terry didn't get in. We're going to see a lot of guys, especially freshmen and so on, get into these next 3 games that are going to get a chance to prove that they should have been on the field against Ohio State and will be on the field in these big matchups moving forward. And I think we'll see some guys emerge that we're not expecting right now.
No, I completely agree. Hey, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Great traction after week 1. Appreciate all the support. Keep it up. For Jake Jimerson, I'm Tanner Carlson. As always, ladies and gentlemen, hook 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.